Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. Are you ready
Ready for what?
to level up?
Okay, girl, let's get started. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Raman and Alysha.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about and maybe rant a little about the housing market right now and the affordability and how, I don't know, nobody can afford a house right now and what is happening.
Like, guys, what's happening in the world right now? We don't understand. We're so confused. And if you're like 30 something like us, you're kind of like, what the F? Am I ever going to be able to afford a home in the GTA? And we're talking about the Ontario housing market, if you're not aware out there, that from our worldly listeners. But it's at a very all-time high to the point that there's memes about the market right now. Okay. Like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. And it's just very confusing, and you hear different things because then you have the finance side of bankers and economists. I think I said it right. Them
I have no idea. Economist. You know
economic
what? I'm not going to try.
economists.
By the guys that we are no real estate professionals. We are just going to talk about our personal experience right now with the fuckery that's going on. And we know that there is tons of other people in Ontario probably feeling the same way we are.
Well, we do know that because a lot of our friends are in the same circle. So
Yeah.
we know the crazy like high right now. And you have two sides. So from what I see, we have real estate agents that are telling you the price will drop or the price won't drop because they want to make money right now. And then you have the banker side and the mortgage reps on one side that are saying, no, eventually we're going to hit a depression. So eventually the price will come down. So it's kind of like, who do you believe and who do you listen to? Because the last time this happened, I think it was like the cold depression or something like that, when there was like a huge war. So the pandemic was very similar to that. The entire economy shut down. And then people decided, oh, I have money in the bank. Let me go buy $1 million homes. So all houses in the main GTA are not less than $1 million unless you want a
Yeah.
shack. And the shacks are like still $999.
Mhm. It's impossible right now to afford anything in the GTA. And I remember being in university and there was a professor in one of my classes. And I don't even know what class it was, but I just have such a vivid memory of sitting in his class and him being in front of the class telling us that you guys better start saving for a house now, or if you can afford a house, buy it now because you're not going to be able to afford it when you are in your 30s. And, I was like, haha, we're going to get a job, make money. But, I, that like point could never be more true right now. And you right now, Alysha, is right now it's a seller's market, right? It's not a buyer's market. So houses are basically going on the market and selling in days, although the market has gone down since March, right? Since March 2021. So it has gone a little better, but it's still crazy. So you right now are trying to look for a new house. And I know it's been insane. So why don't you share your amazing, lovely experience you've been having with finding a
Oh
house?
my gosh. She says lovely with the lightest note. Let me tell you
I
guys.
know I'm trying to make it sound nice because I know it's been a terrible experience so far.
I call ramen on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, complaining about the housing market. So my
Yeah.
husband and I had owned property we bought 2 years ago in Oakville. We got it at a really great rate when we first bought it. It was a new build. And then we decided to sell because we wanted to grow and grow our family, and the home was pretty small. So we decided to sell in Oakville because it was a seller's market. So we sold in February and we got a really good rate. And we were happy with it. And we didn't think we would get that price later on either, considering just that what's going on and what's going around and stuff like that. And it is a smaller place.
And you might not have because prices have gone down since then. So it was a really, really great time to sell.
Yeah, exactly. So we sold, and then we're like, oh, in a month or two, we'll find stuff. No,
Yeah.
nothing happened
No.
in a month or two. We've been part of bidding wars. We've tried it. We wrote letters. We've been emotionally attached to a few homes. And honestly, it's been just very miserable. It's a very miserable experience. And, my husband and I are like, this is supposed to be the fun part, looking for a place
Yeah.
to live. You have the money and you want to now buy something in a place or area you like. And it has not been fun for us. It's been the most challenging thing our relationship has experienced. Luckily, we try to find each other on the same page, or we try to bring ourselves back. But it's been really straining on both of us. And, so we are currently still looking, and then we take breaks in between. And lately we've taken a lot more breaks because we're like, okay, eventually something's got to take care. With the economy opening up again, people need to be more busier than fucking sitting there bidding on these houses for the fucking hell of it. So hopefully they're like going to start traveling and spending their money.
This has been a very like trauma experience for Alysha. She
has.
needs breaks in between because it's like, yeah, how much can you keep going looking at houses every weekend and the weekdays in between? You've gone on your lunch breaks. Like,
Yeah. I've
it's
fallen
been
in
insane.
love, and I've even settled. I've even changed my my area. I've added more areas. We were only originally looking at Burlington and Oakville. Then we're like, okay, we'll do the renovation. We'll look at an older house. Look at older houses. The problem is you're getting the huge lot, but they're under those hydros or they're septic tanks. So there's so many different factors that you don't realize, and you need to think about resale value as well. So just because it's high now, it doesn't mean, from personal experience and who I've spoken to, that you're going to be able to sell that in 5 years at that same price. You might have to wait 10 years to build that price if we hit a depression. So you need to now also make sure the appraisal is even worth it for the land you're buying. And then second thing is, am I going to resell well on this? So
Yeah.
And then, like, if I want to grow my family like my husband and I want to, we also want to make sure then the school factor is a huge thing for us. So there's so many things, and it's like, it's very frustrating. So the hunt continues. I'm getting less pickier day by day.
I
And
know I've seen you trying to accommodate so many different things that you were never willing to accommodate before. And I'm like, is this even Alysha talking right now?
people keep telling me I'm too picky. And I'm like looking at them like, do you not see what I'm dealing with? Like, what do you mean
Yeah.
I'm too picky? I just want it in the area I want to love. Right now, maybe that may not be the area I can be in. Okay, I'll sacrifice it and I'll come back later. Maybe. Let's see. Maybe I won't even end up there. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But everything happens for a reason. I'm a true believer of that. And so we'll just see what happens. We'll continue to keep going. Amit and I have just gotten into a point where we're not emotionally getting involved or getting too excited now. And we're going to still join some offer presentations, but at the rate we think is reasonable. So, comparing, doing our research within the areas. We have a few real estate agents working with us, which is great because they're family and friends. So that's awesome. So we have a lot of help, which is really nice, and we're thankful for it. And yeah, so the search continues, and hopefully before this year ends, I'll reside somewhere new.
I really hope so.
I know you do, because I drive Raman crazy. So Raman's also looking for a property. So tell us about your journey, because I feel yours is more fun because you guys do not need to live there. You just need to make the best business investment choice.
Yeah. So Alysha and I feel like you and I sold our condos like literally 1 week apart. It was around the same time. So shortly after Alysha sold hers, we sold ours, which was an investment property. So like I said, it was a seller's market. It was a very good time to sell, but now it's time to buy. And it is different than Alysha because we're looking for an investment property. So we need a lot of things there and kind of ready to go. But at the same time, it doesn't need to be the most beautiful house in the world with the most amazing kitchen like that we would love to live in ourselves, because it is going to be a rental property. So it just needs to be, you just need to make sure that somebody's willing to kind of live in it. But it has been a challenge with the whole bidding war. So far we have put down 2 offers that, did not go through. And, for the better reason, like what you said, everything happens for a reason. So we did kind of save ourselves from there. But we are looking for a property in Barrie, Ontario. So if you have been watching the news, Barrie just got hit with a tornado, and it's looking, and it's in the area that we were actually looking to buy as well. So it's an area with a lot of pre-development, a lot of construction happening as well. So we are actually going there today, later this evening. So we're going to actually check it out to see like how much damage is there, and kind of secretly hoping that the prices of houses will go a bit lower now there, considering like the area. Because when we were looking to buy, we also want, like what you said, a nice area, right? It's not just, it is about the house, but it's also about a nice neighborhood. We want a good school close by for like our tenants if they have children, right? Like a good park and stuff like that. So considering like we don't know what the damage physically looks like in those areas now, so we're going to kind of get a better idea. But the one thing that's been so crazy is, and by the way, guys, the reason we are looking in Barrie right now is because what Alysha mentioned, you cannot get a house in the GTA for under $1 million. So if you're looking at Toronto, Markham, Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Brampton, like you just cannot get a decent house under $1 million. And that's why we are looking a little bit further out. And Alysha and I will kind of get into more of a conversation that I know we want to have, that people are kind of starting to look further and further and further because of affordability, and we just can't afford it. And that's the main reason we are looking out in Barrie. We do feel like we can get more for our money in Barrie compared to, ideally, I would have wanted a house in Brampton. There's a lot of rental opportunity in Brampton, but honestly, it's just like they're so shit for the price. Like they're just so shit.
Barrie has colleges and universities. Well, not university, but it has those high
Georgian College, and a lot of students
and stuff like that. So the rental area for that is a great aspect, and I think that's a great investment wise. Also, they say Barrie's the new up and coming.
So it is new and up and coming, absolutely.
So in the next few years, Barrie will also do really well, everyone's saying. And you slowly do see that increase too. And you're really close to Lake Simcoe, which is really nice. So there's lots to do in that area. And then you're close to all the cottages too. So anyone who does reside there, that's another bonus, right?
But so I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if this is something you went through before or noticed before, or this is kind of like now as we're becoming homeowners, now we're learning. It's like one of those things where they say, it's like, what did you not know when you were a child that now you've learned as an adult, that you have to do bidding wars on houses? Like, what?
What the fuck? Okay, so I thought these bidding wars were a lot like nicer, but it feels out here. Okay, that's what it fucking feels like. Storage fucking wars, like the show on TLC. So like my husband and I, like we were intimidated at first about the bidding wars because people are like, there's 25 offers. When a house comes on the market, we book to go see it, right? And of course it's a nice one in Oakville, wherever the fuck it is. Okay, it's attractive. Guess what? 20 other people are also looking at that same house and booking time slots. So the time slots fill immediately. And then before you even go see it, the first date's listed to go even see the appointment. Already they put an offer presentation. Okay, we're actually going to change it to offer presentation now. And I feel like this is so unfair. I understand if I was on the seller part, I would be like, I'm going to maximize the most gains I can to get the most money. But at the same time, where's your fucking humanity? Okay, people.
No, when it comes to money, babe, there is no humanity, because you know what it is? You don't want to wait a week and then give people the opportunity to go see other houses and now fall in love with other places.
I know.
Money speaks.
That's the thing. And then like I sat here and I wrote a letter, and
the house is getting sold.
Oh my God, I need to like emotionally attach myself where people can make, like I went into the homes and I started looking for things that I could relate to the seller with. Okay. So like, for instance, I went to this one home that we liked, and they had a pink room and they had like a twins room. And I was like, well, my husband and I really want to have a babies. Maybe your baby dust will fall onto us, and like we'll also like, you know, gain a family and build a family here to give them reassurance. But no. It's not like when people sell their home to want someone there to live those memories and build their own memories and build in that experience. No, these fuckers want money. They don't care.
Yeah, you're like, great. Show me the bank.
Literally. And so my husband was like, I don't even think they read your letter. But we made it to the top 2. And of course, I had to put more money. But at that point, it was like the appraisal just wasn't worth it. So then you're kind of like, what am I doing here? So am I going to write a letter going forward? Probably not, because I feel like no one's reading it. And my husband was like, I mean, he made a good point. He was like, if you were on the seller side and someone wrote you a letter and was giving you 900 less or 200 less, he's like, what would you choose? And I was like,
and the crazy part is, it's not even in hundreds, right? These are people who are receiving thousands of more, like even like $5,000 more. And obviously you're going to choose the person giving you $5,000 more, right?
500 more at one point, okay? Just to like make it feel relevant in the conversation. Oh, and it gets better. If you are joining these bidding wars, I personally am someone who thinks that you should still do your own inspection. And a lot of these sellers are a little smart where they already did pre-inspection. So they don't want you to do your inspection and they don't want any conditions. But I've always been taught that you should at least put a 5-day condition because you need to do your research. You need to make sure, if they have a basement, is it legal or illegally made? You also want to know, you do your inspection and things like that. Or if you need to finance, right? But there have been people who are like, no, I gave you a pre-inspection. You should not be doing an inspection. And that scares me. That makes me wonder, why are you choosing someone who has no conditions? Like, I understand it's easier to deal with, right? But if I'm putting $50K down as my deposit and that person's not, my personal thing is like, what's your problem then? Like, what are you hiding? And that's the next factor. Are people using this as a way to like be able to get out of some problem? So whether their dishwasher doesn't work, or maybe like, I don't know. There's like the land, there's moss. I don't know anything, right? And I feel like that's what people might be doing.
110%. So as I mentioned, we put down 2 offers. The first one we literally put down an offer on the day that the house went on the market. So we did pull one of those. And this buyer was like, oh, you know what? I don't want to take the first offer I get. So, and you know what? They ended up selling it for like $70,000 more than we offered. So, but the second house that we put an offer on, really sketchy, right? We were like, we want to do an inspection. He's like, oh, there's already an inspection or done or whatever. We were like, okay, we weren't allowed to see the basement. So one of our conditions was that we need to see the basement, right? And we need to do an inspection. So he was like, oh, okay, bring in your inspector tomorrow. And we were like, but accept our offer first, right? Like, we're not going to waste our time bringing in an inspector if you haven't even accepted our offer. Then he's like, oh, I can send you the blueprints. Guess what? There was something sketchy about it. Once we got all the paperwork, turns out that it was not a legal basement, and one of the neighbors or something have probably complained them to the city. And just in February 2021, the city came and they gave like a whole blueprint of all the stuff that they need to change. And the laundry is right in front of the electrical panel. And like, there was just so much, like, you basically needed to rebuild the whole basement compared to this like layout. So this is what that real estate agent was trying to like hide, and trying to kind of like, he was like, oh, you just have to get some minor things done to make it legal, like not too much. And then when we see all this stuff, and then you need a couple of days, right? So then when we did our research, we were like, oh my God, like, this is not worth it. And we were giving him the money that he needed, and but he wanted us to come in with no inspection. And then we kind of were a little sketched out, and I'm happy we were.
And
I'm glad we didn't, and I'm happy we didn't even waste our time doing the inspection. It was just But
the thing is, Raman has 2 other business partners in this investment. One is in the real estate business. And the other thing is, you guys have bought homes. You guys are well aware of what it's like. This is not your first investment. Can you imagine a new family coming from somewhere else, or like, people who have saved all this money that came to the country 5 years ago and are buying their first property for the first time and got fucked over like that? And that's the part that really upsets me too.
Like, there are people getting scammed out there. And and that's the thing about buying a house, right? Like, once it's like signed, final, ready to go, it's like a legal agreement, and you can't really just like pull out whenever you want to. But Alysha, something you and I have been discussing, and to be honest, it's not just with you. I've had these discussions with so many more people now, and more people have been saying this recently, because, the housing market in the GTA is not affordable. People are thinking about moving out of, like, fuck the city. They're planning to move out of the province.
Hi, friends. Raman and I just wanted to let you guys know about this app that we use. It's called Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Yes, and it can be heard on all the main platforms and uploaded on them directly, such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. And you can start making money on Anchor right away.
Yeah, it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to
anchor.fm to get started.
Have a great week. Bye.
So, Alysha, do you think that you would ever move out of the province, or ever consider moving out of the province?
Okay, well, you already know the answer to this because we've talked about it.
Let the viewers know. Let the listeners know.
100% I would move. And it's not just the factor of the housing market that does add a huge value to it, but more so because if you listen to our previous podcast, you know, I used to work for a company where I had to travel and my head office was in Calgary. So I traveled to Calgary every few months. And I fell in love with Calgary. Calgary is such a beautiful city. It's like an hour away from Banff. And no matter where you travel within that city, you're only 20 minutes away from. And it's so like crisp, clean air. And people are so nice and friendly. And it's not congested. It's nothing like Bucking, Ontario, in my opinion, like the GTA. And so I did fall in love. And when me and my husband did go up together, I fell in love with it too. And we considered for a very long time, should we move to Calgary? And we made some really great friends out there too. And, you know, it still sits on our minds. Like, should this have been something we should do? And, you know, personally, there's a few factors that involve with moving. You're uplifting your entire life. Yeah, we don't have kids yet. We're still young and we could do it and then come back. But our families are here. Jobs are another factor. My husband owns his own business, so that's one thing to consider. He could possibly work from anywhere, but for me, I more so would need to find a job. Raman and I own a business together, so that's another thing. Although I've talked about expanding it there because there's not a huge South Asian, demand for weddings and stuff like that. Well, there is. They just don't have people to coordinate and decor.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like it's definitely something I would consider doing, but
what do you think about, like, for example, these people who okay, like a young couple, right? And they're going to get married and they want to move in together. And they're like, okay, do we spend the next 2 to 5 years renting and then save up to buy a house in the GTA, or do we pick up and, you know, we can afford a house in Calgary or Edmonton or BC or somewhere else in Canada? We can pick up and we can, you know, actually buy a house. And I think that's what most people are thinking about doing. They're like, well, I can't afford a house here. And here you're going to get like what, maybe a condo, maybe a small house or something like that. And then, you know, debt and stuff like that. So do you think it's kind of easier for those people to pick up and be like, okay, you know what? It's easier for us. This is where we can afford it. And we're willing to move our life and kind of start off with a house there. Like, is a house a big enough reason to pick up and move?
Okay.
But it seems like it is, right? Like the article that you sent me, it was like 45% of, you know, people in Ontario were saying that they are willing to pick up and move to another province in order to afford a house that they can't afford here.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a huge factor for people depending on what they want to do, what their employment is. I think there's so much to factor. But if you're just doing it because you're a new couple and you don't want to start off small, then that's a stupid reason. Because there's also the young couples of our age group that are moving out towards Hamilton and Caledonia or, you know, Brantford or Bradford and are buying homes out in the boonies just to build equity to then come back to the city. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't determine where you're going to live for the rest of your life. It's just a way to make some money. So that's one factor. And a lot of people took this pandemic as a way to buy condos in Toronto, which were on a lower level. Because no matter what, Toronto is Toronto and you will always make money in Toronto. And I know a lot of 30-year-olds that are dating and or married or engaged that went and bought out in Toronto because it's a great investment no matter what you do, and it was low. So personally, I think if you're only using a house as the reason, then no, I don't think so. If you're doing it because you want a change of environment, you want to pay $1 million to look at a better view, then 100%. I don't believe in, like right now I have no choice, but I don't believe in paying $1 million to look at another fucking house when I can go to Calgary, spend $1 million and still see the mountaintops. So that's my only thing. What about you? What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. It's a hard one because like obviously like the down payment is what everybody kind of struggles with, right? Like, because a lot of places, like the mortgage is the same amount as your condo rent plus the maintenance fee, right? You would relatively pay the same amount of money for your mortgage. So I do think, yeah, like if you can, you know, get a loan or like get some sort of help or get that down payment money, I do think it makes more sense to buy right now versus renting, just because and you know what? There are a lot of people that rent, and that's completely fine. People rent for a couple of years until they do save up, but I do think it has to make sense, right? Like I feel like with condos, with the condo fee and then the maintenance fee, like it's too much. Like after owning a condo, it just didn't justify it. I was like, how do people do this when you could pay a mortgage for relatively the same amount
Also, maintenance fees always go up on condos, and
every
anything can
year?
happen. Then all your town, like all the condos floors, if one floods, then the rest are damaged or impacted somehow too. So it's a
Yeah.
liability regardless, but it's a great starter home for sure, or investment.
Yeah, for sure. So earlier today, I was telling Alicia, I had a coworker and he is kind of like a newcomer into Canada for a couple of years, has been renting. Now that, he feels like he has a stable job, he was just, asking, like, do you think it makes sense to buy a condo? It's just him and his wife and their newborn. And I said, "Hey, okay, like in your area, what are condos going for?" And he was like around like 650, right? So I gave him my honest opinion. I said, "Hey, I'm no real estate like expert or anything, but from having owned a condo and now like having sold it to buy a house, I feel like because this was his concern. He was like, when you are buying further out, how are you going to get to work? Because I'm pretty sure everybody is starting to think about post pandemic, right? The reason why people, try to buy a house in the GTA is because it's like this is where maybe their family is or where their job is and stuff like that. So they feel like if they didn't have to sacrifice or didn't have to accommodate those things here, then they could move further out. So his big question was, okay, well, if I move out like really far out, how am I going to accommodate coming to work? So, we had that was a whole nother discussion about work from home. And I don't think we'll ever go back to the 5-day work week normal. So, I was just explaining to him that for that 650, you can buy a house further out with a finished basement and then you rent out your basement and, have it pay half your mortgage. I'm like, you are like, he's not that knowledgeable because he is a newcomer. And I was like, as a newcomer, like right now, a couple of years ago, yes, I would say that it might have been like a better time to invest in a condo. But now when you're seeing that prices are almost equivalent to like some house prices. But what I mean is condo prices in the GTA are equivalent to house prices outside the GTA. So if you're just willing to move out a little bit further, you can own a house instead of owning a condo that's not going to like go up that much in price versus a house is. And, with the house, you have that opportunity to rent out your basement too. So it was just very interesting to know like, and based on like mortgage and the amount of money that he's paying for rent right now would literally be equivalent to what his mortgage would be. But yeah, it does come down to the down payment. So I know some people do rent in order to save up for that money in the meantime. But if you are able to buy and you're only like your only struggle right now, as Alicia said, is like, oh, you just can't afford in the GTA. And like, that's the only thing stopping you. Like, I would say just move out of the GTA, just move out further, get a land, get like acres of land.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like, I think people think you need to be 30 and have it all. You don't. But if you are younger and you're listening, your parents that sit there and they nag you, please save money, please save money. They're not joking, because the reason they're telling you to save money is so you can have some money to put down on a down investment or down deposit,
Mhm.
So like, you could invest if you were in your 20s, if you find a new development. Like, the thing about, I think, new builds, it's such a great thing for someone who's a new couple or new person who's trying to get into the investment or buying a home or whatever it may be. There's so many new properties always going up. And the down payment for that is a much longer time frame. So if you are sitting in 2021 now and you want to buy something maybe in 2023, or 2025, and let's say you're in university right now and you're like, I do have some money I've earned and worked with, or I started my first job and I have some money saved. Well, I would then put my down deposit or on a long-term home that will be built in a few years when I'm ready to move in or be with someone or sell, and then
That is a really smart idea. Because with pre-construction, you don't, because you did pre-construction and you have to do it like in portions, right?
installments. And the longer it
Installments,
takes
yeah.
to buy it, so if you know that your house won't be built to 2024, let's say 2 years from now or 3 years from now, the installments will be longer. And also, I'm talking about the boonies. I'm not saying buy it in the GTA. If you can, kudos to you, but it is a more expensive still. if you're buying out in the boonies, like let's say new builds in Barrie's, new builds in Grimsby, new builds in
Like
Ann,
Caledon, Georgetown, like
there's so many places on new builds. Well, Georgetown's not cheap anymore either. Their new builds were starting at 1.2. So
yeah.
it's ridiculous everywhere. But if you start at a new build, Caledon either or girlfriend, what the hell? You know Caledon's at a 1.1 starting. So
But you get so much acres of land, so much
okay,
land.
I know, babe. I know, but you're getting a small house. So basically, yeah. And I just personally think that's another option. I don't think a house should be the solemn reason why you're moving out of province to start this new life, because there's so many factors you probably haven't considered, like a job, realistically, taxes. Like, yeah, Ahmed and I have talked about moving to Alberta, but we know by moving to Alberta, you have 5% less tax, but the cost of living is a little higher than here because your groceries will be higher, and there's actually an environmental tax there. So you have to pay every time you buy a water bottle, a can, Diet Cokes, anything like that. There's an extra charge on top of that for the environmental
I did
fee.
not know that.
Yes, and there's also some talk. There's a premium on home insurance because of roof collapsing from snow. So there's things like that to consider too. So it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be cheaper. Yeah, you're buying the house cheap, but your like cost of living might still be more. So you have to
Yeah.
consider everything. So do your research before you move. The other thing I do want to touch base on is I was also reading this. So our generation, which is Raman and mine, like 30-year-olds, are getting married later and later in our day and
Mhm.
age. We're not getting married in the 20s like our parents did. We're getting married when we're financially set already. Um, we're also having kids later, and some of us are maybe not having children. Some are, and some aren't. Our parents come from that age where their parents had 6, 7 siblings, then to
Mhm.
like, our parents maybe having a few siblings, to now us having just like, 2 twos or 3 threes, maximum 4. And then us to have our kids, they're saying statistically, we may only have 0 to 2 kids. So now they're building these townhouses of 2 bedrooms. And I'm sitting there like thinking in Oakville, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then I did the research and I found out why they're doing this. They're building in Ancaster and a lot of places townhomes with 2 bedrooms because young adults like us aren't choosing to have children and don't need all these bedrooms. And they're just choosing to have the one child. So
Mm.
that was
I
another
feel like
thing.
I would still need an extra bedroom for like just cause.
I know, like my office or something, but some people are minimalistic, right? That's the
Yeah.
other. Raman and I are very
Or
privileged.
maybe this is going to be the future. This is all we're going to be able to have. Just small
Possibly.
houses that we can't afford.
And Raman and I don't know if we do well because, we're privileged in the sense that our parents have nice homes. We grew up with fairly huge bedrooms, tons of closet space. And, we're girly girls. So we like the little itty bitty things that are around and postings and things like that. And the makeup and the jewelry and the accessories. So, I feel like I can't be minimalistic, but I'm trying to learn. And I don't know if you can either. Find that.
Honestly, I have accepted that whatever is the first house I'm going to have that I live in, my bedroom is going to be smaller than my bedroom right now because I think it is impossible to like have the size. Even as a master, like if there was a master, I feel like it would be smaller than my
Your bedroom.
current bedroom. So I've thought about this. This is why I need another bedroom to turn into like a closet. I've thought
Yeah.
about this.
Closet with like your little office and have, I need a fucking room that can keep my purses. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have, and then though I do, when I was looking at people's houses and I'm looking at them like, damn, you're minimalistic. Like I was really impressed with some people's homes and themselves. And I was like, if only I could learn to be this minimalistic. And I'm learning. And maybe with kids that will change. I don't know. But right now I feel like I feel still newly wedded. It hasn't been that long. Maybe when I
Oh,
hit years I won't. But I still feel like me and Hamid are still trying to find what's important to us and maybe what's not, right? So
yeah.
there's so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, really, really do hope that you find your house soon, putting out all the vibes. I'm one of the people that is looking forward to for Alysha to buy a house like more than Alysha, because I see the struggle. I see the struggle. It's been a struggle for months and months and months. And I mean, it sucks. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. It has been like a tough thing and the market is tough.
Yeah, it like ruins that first experience for you.
It does. And like you're not even at this point, I feel like there have been days where I've heard you say, like, I just want to get any house at this point, you know? Like fuck the dream house, but I just need somebody accept our offers or something, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to is also knowing that you're not going to get your dream house as your first home. And people, I need to understand that, and everyone else out there does too.
Yeah. So, everyone, thanks for listening. This was just our little rant as we go through our house hunting experience. And we know a lot of people in the GTA are going through, you know, kind of similar struggles as us. And it hasn't been easy. You're either paying a lot more than you need to, or you're waiting a lot longer than you hoped to wait for to find your dream house. But we're putting out the positive vibes everywhere, and hopefully the housing market kind of turns around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to all the house hunters out there. And thank you once again for tuning in. If you want more advice or would like to share your thoughts, if you're going through similar experiences, email us at ramanandalysha@gmail.com. And if you're not already following us, please follow us on Instagram at Level Up with Raman and Alysha. We post almost daily quotes, and we do a lot of things on the stories there. So you're definitely missing out if you're not following.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.